Oh, all right, everybody. So, welcome tonight. I'm super excited. We get to have Lisa with us again. And we're always blessed with lots of information and just being able to chit chat with her and glean from her experience.
Hi, you're
So,
right now.
Lisa has a call, so we don't want to keep her too long. So, we're just going to jump right in and get down to business. So, Lisa?
Well, actually, and I want to tell you, I would never schedule a call around y'all, but I'm working on the ANMP, which is the Association of Network Marketing Professionals event, and herding all these cats, of which I am the volunteer and somehow got sort of in charge, is very difficult. And with all due respect to you, Lenny, and any of the other men that are watching, most of the challenges in getting everybody together were the men. So we'll do. But you're here on time, so it wouldn't be you if only you were on my committee. Well, good evening, everybody. Back in the States, it is morning here in Hong Kong, and I'm so excited to be back with you. And first up, Romy and I are discussing getting back on a schedule like every couple of weeks, and I think that that's really good. My experience is the more consistent that you do things, the more effective that it is. I've been working with a team in another company that we've actually gone from sporadically to biweekly, and now we're going weekly, and it's really paying off because of the power of events, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. And Curtis apologizes for not being here. He was up working in the States till 3 a.m., but he promises he will be at the next one. And we always talk about events, but I am coming to realize more and more how powerful they are in a business. And I want to talk about events from a different perspective. Because when we talk about events, people think, oh, the company convention, or oh, GoPro. And of course, these are big events, and big events are so important. But really, what we really want to talk about is the power of the calendar. Because what drives success externally, internally it's all what we think, and we talk about that all the time. But what drives success externally in any business is the calendar. Somebody needs to mute, I think. But what drives success in any business is the calendar. What drives success in life, if you think about back in school, I'm not sure that when we were kids, we necessarily focused on the right thing in the calendar, because for me, it was always when I didn't have to be there. How many days till Christmas vacation? How many days till Thanksgiving? How many days till spring break? So my calendar was driven by when I could escape from it. But nonetheless, if you think about it, you knew the test was on Friday, and then you would look, okay, so, if you were like me, that meant cramming on Thursday night. More responsible people were kind of thinking about how and they should be studying all week. The term papers due a week from next Tuesday. Like I said, responsible people would schedule, would then back plan and say, I should go to the library on this day. I should be doing this here and this here and this here. And they would plan out. For me, it was a reminder, oh my gosh, I better get this thing written as I get closer to the deadline. And that's the way life works. And network marketing is a function of being driven by the calendar also, because just like going back to school, what you do with the calendar will dictate your success more than anything else, because this is not a business where your success can be driven totally by you. So in school, yes, if you are super capable of doing things at the last minute, you might not retain it as well, and it might not be your best work, but theoretically, the night before, you could write a paper, study, and get still turn in a paper and maybe even get an A. Chances are you would remember the material as well down the road, or you could, in fact, write a paper and come through. But if you're only remembering to get yourself to an event or making a decision about an event the night before, the best you're going to do is get yourself there. You're not going to be there with people. And since this is a function of how many people we can expose to what we're doing, the more we have a calendar dictating what we're doing, the more people we can expose. So the reason I say that is events are not just the big event. Events are any opportunity that we have to expose people to business, to what we do in a group setting where we can have them hear stories and information, not from us. Because the biggest challenge people make in network marketing is when they become the source of the information rather than a director to a third party source of the information, because it inhibits duplication. And I've noticed that more and more recently, because I have been in the States the last 4 months working on helping the company here, because they had fallen into the trap of more direct sales thinking and less what takes something viral thinking in network marketing. And I want to explain that to you so you can understand this fundamental difference in thinking, because I've been getting the question so much lately. Is it multi-level marketing? Is it direct sales? What is network marketing exactly? So I'm going to break it down for you so you can understand it. We're going to go top down. It doesn't matter what the comp plan is as long as it works. It's all really back to a psychology of how you look at the business. I can sit down, Romy can sit down, anybody on this call, assuming you've been doing it for a while and you have understanding of your business, I can go meet somebody in a one-on-one setting, and I can sit down, and if I can spend an hour and a half showing them whatever I'm going to show them, and I can sign them up all day long. It's not that I'm so great, but after 372 years of doing this, if I couldn't do that, that would be a challenge. So I can do that. Now, the problem is when I take that brand new person, I spend the hour and a half and I go through the whole presentation and I'm doing most of the talking and they sign up. What happens when they then go and they sit down with somebody for an hour and a half and that doesn't happen, and it almost never will? Okay, if they have the courage to do it. This is assuming that they don't go through this whole hour and a half presentation with me, sign up because I was so effective, and get overwhelmed and think that they have to spend the next 3-4 months being able to do what I just did and immobilize themselves of talking to anybody. Because that happens to a lot of people. But for the ones it doesn't happen to, they then go out, they try to do the same thing they just saw me do. It's totally ineffective because they're not really professional sales presenters yet. And it doesn't work. They take themselves out of the game. And even if it does work, it's a very slow process because they are selling. They are whether they are signing somebody up or they are selling somebody a product. When the person who is doing it is doing most of the talking, we're now replicating almost what happens in a cosmetics counter in a department store. Or if you go to buy a house and you're sitting on the other side of the counter of a real estate agent. You are putting a person in the viewpoint from the other side is a professional person who has a wealth of information and can answer all of these questions. And that's not something the new person can get up and go do. Is everybody with me? So network marketing works at its finest when it's third party. So what do we always tell people? Your job is to do what you can do, which is what only you can do. Go work with your network, i.e. the relationship. Have less presentation, more conversation. You're not there to present. You're there to have a conversation, because through the relationship, asking questions, connecting with the person, meeting them where they are, you can then connect them to a third party that isn't you, because that's something they can do right away. Whether the third party is, hey, come to this meeting with me. Hey, let's get on this conference call. Watch this 4-minute video. Let me let you hear Iris's story. Let me let you hear Cindy's story. Try this product. Let me tell you my product story. Not let me tell you all the science about the product, because again, that's educational. But let me tell you my story, what happened to this product. And by the way, if you go to www.everything you ever want to know about this product that I would have never asked, Dr. So-and-so or oil expert so-and-so is there to give you this information. Because that's something that can go very, very quickly. That's how enthusiasm dominates, but confusion doesn't take over. Okay, so that is one of the power. So when you have events penciled in, whatever they may be, all these opportunities to get people in front of a third-party source that is not you, then your job is just go out, talk to people, be interested in people, ask questions, all the things we've talked about, and then point, guide, and direct them to all these different opportunities that you have for them to be exposed to the information. And it takes away from a lot of the training and allows training where it needs to be focused. Because how do we teach kids to speak? We don't send them to language school. We don't send them to a corner to think, oh my God, all these people were making all this noise they don't understand. I better go read the dictionary and figure out what I can learn. They just are immersed in it. So when you go to enough events because you're taking people with you, when you sit through enough meetings where you're taking people with you, when you're on enough three-ways that you've hooked people up and you're just listening, after a while, you can get up at the front of the room and do the whole presentation from start to finish because you've seen it so many times, just like that child who's listened to people talk so often that one day they're just talking. And that's how things just take on a natural life of their own and go viral. So the power of events is everything we talk about it for the new person, but it's the greatest training capability. It creates the greatest consistency in a calendar because people get very used to just going forward and talking to people, and they don't get as frightened because it takes away from the scarcity mindset. If someone makes a list with 3 people on it, then every person they talk to is a 33% chance of disaster. If people only think about 2 regionals and a major convention as their events, they're difficult events to get people to. Often they're out of town. They often cost more money. They're intimidated by those. But when they have, oh my gosh, there's this conference call, there's this, and they're all written in the calendar. Now they may not be able to attend everyone, but if the first thing they do is just fill out that calendar, conference call here, then it's just, oh my gosh, you need to find out, we can do this, 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 we can do this or that. Everybody with me? So everything is designed to flow. If all people are doing is working as a tour guide, telling their story, other people's stories, pointing, guiding, and directing to information, continually saying, if you're excited, if it works for you, if you want to change your life, I hear what you're saying, come with me, let's do this. And you're showing them this is all you have to want to do. Because remember, 80% of new people are always going to be exposed by new people. And the way that new people learn correctly, if you want it to go quickly, is through the immersion of exposure. But not expose it with themselves and others. Because I want to explain to you where the model is breaking down for so many people and how it gets into this, everybody thinking they have to be a great salesperson. And everybody asking, what is it? Is it direct sales? Is it this? Is it that? Let's start with the direct sales piece, because they're all pieces. A direct sale is if I take this empty bottle that was once filled with the elixir of the gods, and I sell a bottle to Romy, and Romy buys it. That is a direct sale. I directly connected the product to Romy. Chances are I got it at wholesale. She bought it at retail to an end user. And I noticed I didn't say customer. I didn't say consumer. I didn't make a distinguishing thing between distributor because it really doesn't matter. Because what direct selling is when a transaction occurs between somebody who is pushing the product forward to some beyond where it currently is, the distribution model, the distribution and consumption of a product beyond where it currently is to an end user. The key word being end user, meaning that in this scenario, at this moment, it is not necessarily going to go any further than Romy. She's made a purchase, she's going to buy it and use it, but right now that's the end user. It's the end of that daisy chain. Because all we're doing is planting seeds. Every time I talk to a new person, I'm starting, we could say a new group, a new leg, but it's really a new possibility of distribution. And right now, the end user is Romy. And the reason I make that distinction is a lot of people, when they go out, if they get into that hour and a half explanation, even if they enroll the person as a distributor, the person signs up. Even if they buy a package of product as opposed to one product in a distributor format, if it's done in that capacity and never goes any further, they're really just a consumer with a distributor flag next to their name. It's still an end user. If nothing grows from it, it's an end user. That's direct selling. Direct selling is a transaction where a new distribution possibility is opened up, but it's now an end user. It ends with her. That's direct sale. Doesn't matter if there's something they're signed up in the business, if they're not in the business. And very often, based on if the person doing this, if the person who's in the business with the new person is doing all of the talking, and all of it's really based around the products and everything else, it's going to end there. Now, in customer acquisition, and there is a piece of network marketing where you're going out specifically to get customers, that's fine. That's what you're looking for as end users. Maybe they'll refer some people based on their product usage. Maybe they won't. But it's not even your focus. When you're sitting with a brand new customer, you're not, before they decide to get it and have tried it, you're not saying, and who are the 27 other people you can refer me to? That doesn't happen in the real world either. Because satisfied customers refer, they haven't even used their product yet. They just bought it. So do we all understand that? A direct sale is to an end user in the business, out of the business, and it's transaction based. A transaction has occurred, and we have an end user. Now, when I do that in network marketing, when I've done that with Romy, 2, 3, 4 people above me will receive a commission based on that transaction that occurred between her and I, indirectly. They weren't there. They weren't involved in that direct sales transaction. That's a multi-level pay plan. People on multiple levels receive remuneration. So when we say multi-level marketing, that refers to a compensation structure. Direct selling is a transaction. Multi-level refers to compensation. And I don't care if it's a binary or a unilevel or any of those things. It really just means that when a transaction occurs and a direct transaction occurs, other people involved in training, supporting, sponsoring, back before this ever happened in history that were involved in getting the person that made the transaction to that place are going to receive remuneration based on rather different things within the comp plan. We talk multi-level marketing. That describes the pay plan. Everybody got that? Okay. Network marketing is the model. And it's here that a lot of people miss it. And this is where the fortunes are created and the lives are changed. Because network marketing is not about sales, it's about marketing. Is sales involved? Yes. But that's at that direct selling process. That's where products are sold to end users and the focus is the product. Network marketing is about marketing to your network. That's about going out and changing and getting involved in relationships, business relationships to whatever capacity. That's when the focus becomes the other person and what they want out of life, where it's not everything you ever wanted to know about the products but were afraid to ask. It's not about get in now, it's going to be huge. It's not about we can get rich quick. It's not about you doing all the talking and presenting. This is where less presentation and more conversation comes into play. Because if people are truly growing and expanding their network, marketing to their network, you don't need to be presenting to your network. You need to be talking to them. You don't need a script to talk to mom and dad. You don't need a formal, there is a place for formal presentations. It happens when you go to the event, when you put somebody on the call and they know, hey, we're going to a presentation. Somebody's going to be at the front of the room or on the call, and they're going to go through 30 or 45 minutes to break this down in a very simple thing. That's what you're saying. Come with me and there'll be somebody there who's brilliant, talented. They know a lot more than me. I'm brand new. They can break it down for you. That's when people get excited about presentations because they don't want it to be a 6-month learning curve. They want a basic, simple thing, typically delivered not by you because the relationship doesn't get in the way. It doesn't get sidetracked. It doesn't go off on tangents. It's the presentation that can be done by somebody that's not directly connected to somebody, because nothing gets caught, nothing gets in the mix. So when you're marketing to your network and you're doing it through conversation, it's very easy to expand the network because you're not going out to get anybody, you're going out to give information. You're not going out to tell anybody, you're going out to offer choice. And when it's done that way, even if I choose it's not for me, I have no problem connecting my other portions of my network together. I have no problem saying to Romy, who's my friend, Mary might like this and Susie might like this. And, oh, this product would be awesome for Debbie. And I'll give her those phone numbers because we're in the same network. And if you think about networks you're involved in outside of network marketing, think about how they work. Think about the PTA. Think about nonprofits. Think about the baseball, team that you're on. Think about anything you've ever been involved in outside of situations where you had no choice. Your school, you go to school, I guess you chose the school you went to, at least once you got to college. But once you get there, the job you're in. But once you're in those places that are kind of the big picture decisions, within those organizations, groups and networks form. Within every organization you're in. Well, why are all those people together? Well, we are all interested in the cause, whatever it was. We all like to bake. That's why we're the bake sale committee. I'm good with numbers. That's why I'm working on, the money raising or the money management, or I'm the treasurer of this organization. I think this is fast. I think that we don't have enough parks, or that too much money is being pulled out of the schools, and we need to have more extracurriculars for the kids. That's why I'm working on these after school programs, and everybody working on the after school program with me, at least we have that in common. So they become a network because you have something that brings you together. Network marketing is the same thing. You have natural networks of people that you already have a relationship with because something other than, we're forced to be together brought us together. Even strangers, when you connect, become a part of a network. I went the other night. I was at a Seder here in Hong Kong. My daughter took me because I had to be her Passover. So there were probably 200 people in the room, and they're all lovely people, nice, you mill around. But in the end, there were 4, 5, 6 people that, I really connected with. They connected with me, that if I make the effort, and I will, I'm sure we'll become friends and people I'll hang out with going down the road in Hong Kong. Others, if I see them again, will be nice, but that instant connection wasn't there. So I've expanded my network by a few people. And I'm sure of those people, I'll meet other people, and they'll meet other people through me. That's just what it is. So network marketing is the part where we go out and we just connect with our network. We ask questions. We're interested. We connect them to information they're not aware of. We offer them choices. And in those choices, some of them may get products, some of them may enroll. But when we do it that way, it takes on a life of its own, because every new person that you connect with to start a conversation is the beginning of something. It's the potential beginning. And all we're supposed to do is follow it through to where it's naturally going to go. And sometimes when we're doing all the talking, they may get in when they're not supposed to, but they're not really in. Sometimes it ends up being a direct sales transaction that was too big because they signed up as a distributor and they bought a year's supply if they're not going to go ahead and, connect with other people. And I would rather have a customer buying on an ongoing basis than a year's supply, because I want to reconnect with them and go with them down the road and have them be happy, because over time, sometimes it takes multiple exposures. Relationships are not born in one encounter. Sometimes when you try to make them be that way, they're not that pleasant. When I call the person back, if it really wasn't for them, they may not be happy they had a year's supply. So I may not have that opportunity over time to introduce them to other things and get their exciting story. And as the relationship develops, meet other people that they know, and either through them find somebody that I'm looking for. Because the key is not that you're going to ever find who you're looking for in width. You may not. You probably won't. I usually didn't. I did find them with depth. That's the beauty of network marketing, is that you can work through people to people to find the one that you're looking for. And when you find them, you go to work there, and everybody in between still can be rewarded in some way. Even if they're not the person who wants to go to work, even if they're not the person that jumps up. Normally in the real world, if people have manners, and I'm starting to think that that's becoming unusual, they get rewarded with a thank you. And in network marketing, they can be rewarded if it's done properly, if you find that superstar on 7 levels down. The referrals are taken care of in some form or fashion, and they always have the opportunity a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, to see it with different eyes, to have a light bulb to go on, for timing to change, to wake up and come back and capitalize in a much bigger way on something they did 3 years ago. If that superstar that developed underneath you, and it doesn't hurt you if that happens, it benefits you because it's more activity. Does that make sense? Now, this is not one of the more exciting calls I've done, but I find that sometimes we're so busy teaching people how to build a network marketing business, that they don't have a real clear understanding necessarily of the business of network marketing. And sometimes when that light bulb goes on and you break it down, it helps them excel. So that's kind of a little bit of what I wanted to cover for y'all tonight, because as I moved around, I find that I'm talking about this a lot lately. or getting questioned on it a lot lately and thereby talking about it.
I loved it. I loved the breakdown of the explanation. It was, and we actually talked a little bit about just the networking and relationships and stuff today. I think it's important for people to know the specifics of that, because there are so many people that just have that block with the business model itself, and to be able to just really understand.
But it can be confusing, and really nobody teaches it anymore because everybody's in such a hurry to run out and get people.
Right. Yeah, and the getting people. That's
don't get me started.
I know. And I know that it's kind of it seems almost like it's like a trained verbiage, but it may not mean anything when people are saying that in the beginning, but eventually it does mean something.
Language does dictate thought. People don't realize it. That's why self-talk is so important. The questions we ask are so important, because it does, we do inoculate ourselves to things that should bother us because we allow the language to change and morph. Right.
And I often wonder if I think that people, when they use that verbiage, I wonder if they would use that in the presence of that person, when they're talking about getting that person, and how I think that it would make people cringe if they would really, if you really think about the whole gist.
Yes, it's really funny because, I do think that way sometimes when it's cause driven.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of things that I will do for a cause that I have no guilt whatsoever.
Right.
If I'm working and I've worked for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, kids with cancer getting their dreams come true. So
right.
I am going to call up Romy, and there's something that I know she's going to bring something to the table that's really going to help these kids, and it's going to take about an hour of her time. I will, in my mind, go, I'm going to get Romy, and if she tells me she's busy, I'll pull out all this out and say, Romy, I'm going to get you. It's an hour of your time, and look at all the good we can do. And I have no problem doing that, because we should. But I'm not going to get somebody or their money into a business they may not want to be in. That's a friend of mine.
Right.
Because it's not what it's about. I want to give her the option for something that can change her life if it's something that appeals to her.
Right.
And I think that's what happens, and that's just really where we need to focus on.
Yeah.
And next time that we meet, I want to talk about a mindset thing that's a little bit different, but I just wanted to bring this out because so many people lately are asking me that age-old question, which do you lead with first, the business or the opportunity, or the product or the opportunity? And I never really understand the distinction, because to me, other than hot market, and you've all heard me go on about that at length, and the only reason I separate it there is because friends and family, I believe, should support you and try your product and everything else, because they're the biggest skeptics in our lives for our own good. We don't realize it, and they're the people that are going to give us the biggest help if we limit the help to where they can help us, but they're the biggest skeptics in our lives. But other than that, to me, it's all integrated. I talk about what I do all the time. So when I show people what I do in a very big picture way, of course it's going to involve the product. I love the products. I use the products. But of course it's going to be talking about what I do. So I'm always showing it all, and people can figure out for themselves where they fit into that picture. And I ask people to evaluate the business all the time, but can you imagine me calling you up and telling you I've got this great business and everything else? And sooner or later, somebody's going to say, well, that all sounds great, but what are we selling? What's the product? So how would I ever, share the business with somebody ethically and responsibly and believe that we're going to do something great if I never get into the product? So they're going to be a part of it. And on the other hand, how could I ever talk to people in my network about an exciting product and not share with them there's an opportunity involved? I look like the Avon lady. So to me, it's all part of the same package.
I agree.
Even with the stranger who's not, to me, there are no strangers, there's people that aren't my friends yet. It would always be, I work with these great products, and it's an incredible way, a credible lifestyle. And, you should look at the products, but you should look at the rest of it too, because it's really neat. because I don't ever want to limit somebody else's picture because of my own insecurities. I want them to be able to make their choices based on all the information that's available. Not meaning, I don't want to sit down and inundate them with minutia, but I want to give people a big enough vision that they have the opportunity to say yes or no to something that's real. Because I would have said no to being an Avon lady, I'm pretty sure. So imagine if somebody had only shown me that. Nothing wrong with being an Avon lady, but I'm sure that would not have been for me.
Yeah. I have childhood memories of what my aunt was an Avon lady, and I loved her dearly, but I have certain smells and memories that go along with being an Avon lady. So I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been an Avon lady either.
You know what I might have been, though, had I seen it at the time? I might have been a Cutco knife girl in college. Because a friend of mine called about 3 years ago and said, this nice girl is here. She's working her way through college, and she sells these great knives, and they are. And, can she come over and look at knives? And I thought, Steve, we're going to buy something because she's working her way through college. And I thought I was going to buy something. And I ended up buying $800 worth of knives. And I still have them, and they're great knives, and I use them, and I cook. So it's not like, but I thought, imagine if I had been in college and I could have gone to places and sold I don't know how much money she made in that, but in direct sales, you figure it's got to be, at least 25% or 30% or something, right? And I got on the phone, and I called 3 friends and made 3 appointments for her to go with the working herself through college story. And I'm like, if I had seen that in college, imagine the money I would have had, as a college student. So I might have done that. And
Well, I love the switch in the words between get and give, and I think that, you talk about letting fear get in the way. I think we all start with a little bit of fear, but really stepping through the fear and really delving into that belief that the business model of network marketing is the cat's meow. Like, there is nothing like this business model, and really stepping into that belief, I think that helps with the fear and being able to share and know that we have something to offer, and we have something that we can give to the people that we care about and the people that we meet.
I think that having, I hate to use the word system because people define it differently. And then sometimes they think they don't have one, and they think that there's.
Right.
I think that a lot of the fear, people sometimes are afraid to say they're in network marketing. I think a lot of that is moving away. Or they think they're afraid of. I think the real fear is that they won't be able to explain and answer all the questions and all of those things because they are brand new. And even if they could, it doesn't work for you. Because because we're a business of duplication, and then the new person thinks they'll have to do all those things. So I still don't. There's very little I probably couldn't explain after doing this for so long, but I don't sit down and do the presentations myself to people I am prospecting ever, because it just doesn't. Especially people that it does not as effective. It's like trying to tell your kids something; they never listen to you anyway, even if you do know it. And I think that when people really would understand that they don't have to do that they just are talking to people and pointing them to somebody else doing that, it would take away a lot of the fear, because the real fear is that they're not going to know something that somebody's going to ask them, and they're going to look stupid. Right. You're never going to look stupid if you're just having a conversation. It would be like this. It would be like saying to somebody, it would be like recommending a movie. Nobody expects you to say anything other than, I really loved it. Julia Roberts was really good in it. Maybe she'll win, and I think she should be nominated for an Oscar. But imagine if you were recommending a movie to somebody, and the expectation was that they would ask you questions like, you wrote the script and you directed the movie. You never want to recommend a movie because you feel like I couldn't answer those questions. And that's the way that people approach this sometimes. And I think if they really understand that that's not your job, your job is just to go out to talk to people and point them to somewhere where they can actually get adequate information. Nobody expects you to be the library. It's, you're supposed to know the directions to get to the library. The library has the information, not me. I just know that the library is a really cool place to get information. And by the way, it's on the corner. Make a right, wait for the light to turn green and cross the street. And that's the job.
Yeah.
So but we're going to talk about fear and turning that around in the next one. A really cool thing you can write. The topic is going to be, and it's a really bad title until you understand the meaning behind it. But what we're going to talk about the next time is what is the real worst case scenario? Because it's the worst case scenarios that people imagine that take them out of the game. And we're going to talk about how to arrive at the real worst case scenario, which is never what we imagine it to be.
That sounds awesome.
I've got to jump because I've got to go get on this call. But I love you all, and I apologize for this. And the next time around, I'll tell you what to do when people ask if it's a pyramid scheme, because I see the comment.
Yeah.
And we can do that as often as you want, as sooner if you want to do it next week, because I will be back in the States.
Okay.
But if not, I'll see you in 2.
Okay. Thank you very much.